Day unto day offereth speech, and night unto night uttereth wisdom. There is no language nor creed where thy voice is not heard. With that, I welcome you to Morning Spring today on Western Spring Television on this amazing award-winning channel, Western Spring Television on channel 190 StarTimes DTT, and also on various social media platforms, especially on YouTube at Western Spring Television. This is Morning Spring, and springing up every morning, every day, every minute, every time are issues of public importance, and that is what we look into every day here, speaking to critical stakeholders, people who are passionate about this nation, like yourself, distinguished Nigerians, men and women, public office holders, people in government, private sector, organized private sector, artisans, anybody, everybody that has to do with the public good, we get to speak with them. And it's about this nation of ours, this nation called Nigeria, that must not fail, that will never fail. And so, if this nation will not fail, which it must not fail, we all have a work to do. And that is why we wake every morning, come here to have these issues and discuss it, especially, no holds barred kind of program where we intimate you firstly with headlines from newspapers, major dailies. That's the first point of call, where you get informed and intimated with daily happenings or occurrences in your neighborhood, in your state, in the nation, and sometimes across the shores of this nation as well. At the other side of that, you then get to unpack, to unravel, to talk about these issues. And of course, you always have an opportunity to be part of that, by dropping your thoughts on our social media platforms on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You have the address scrolling on your screen very shortly. That is what we do at this end every day. Femi Ojo is my name, and I'm back here to do exactly that. I know you are ready. I am ready as well. Tongues have not ceased to be wagging, especially about the issue of U.S. threats, where the President Donald Trump and his guys, people in government, Department of War, Defense Secretary have said, Mr. President, we are ready, to take out, according to Mr. Trump, the Islamic jihadist in Nigeria. Just give us the word. We will just do that. Yesterday, there is another dimension in which People's Republic of China, China made their position on the matter, and they are saying, Nigeria, stand firm, don't be intimate, don't be cowed. In fact, no country has a right, to teach you how to handle your business, internal affairs of your nation. So they are saying they, as a country, an ally of Nigeria, trade partner, China, are standing solidly behind Nigeria to handle its business, and many persons will say, you want to use Nigeria as a pawn in this supremacy battle between the U.S., the United States of America, and, China and Nigeria, because the U.S. are saying, we are going into your country if actually you won't put your acts together, and stop these carnage against Christians, persecutions against Christians in Nigeria. And China are saying, Nigeria, stand firm. We are supporting you. Handle your business. Don't be threatened. And every nation has a right to handle his business the same way. Now, the question is, in which capacity is China doing that? As a brother, as a comrade, as an ally, as a strategic partner, as what? Because political watchers, people in diplomacy have said, Nigeria better be aware, know where your allegiance will lie in this battle. Because as far as this is concerned now, two nations of the world are spoken on that matter. The two biggest economies in the world, that's the United States of America and China. And when the US are saying we are coming into your country, China is saying, Nigeria, in social media parlance, no grief for anybody. That's what China is saying. Hey, that's what they have said yesterday. No grief for anybody. And so we must just be careful and handle business the right way. By the way, no country is an island on its own. You always have partners, you always have people that are your allies, but you must know where your allegiance will truly belong. That on one side. Yesterday, people were talking again, because of the debt burden of Nigeria, because we understand the president is asking the National Assembly to ratify his application, to obtain, they're seeking for 1.15 trillion naira loan domestically, to finance the budget of 2025. Deficit spending is, deficit budget is part of how budgets are prepared and to be managed, definitely. And Nigeria, talked about that as well. How much we will have to spend, how much we can generate, and how much we can finance. How we get to finance the budget, by deficit funding, definitely. That's talking about borrowing. And now the president has written to the National Assembly seeking to borrow 1.15 trillion naira again. And Nigerians are saying again, just a few months ago, the president said Nigeria is no more owing anybody, any organization domestically. And just a few months of saying that, we want to borrow domestically again. To what purpose? To finance the budget. Fine. So how about those metrics that the federal government said we have met, talking about revenue generation? All these things were just said a few months ago. And now we are borrowing again. What happened? By the way, we must establish that borrowing is part of the economy anywhere in the world. But the issue is, are we safely borrowing according to the GDP to debt ratio? We're supposed to be 40%. The debt management office have said we are not yet, at 40%. But Nigerians say, must we always get to that threshold? That's the thing. Now, all the monies we have been borrowing is to what effect? Actually, what can we show that we have done with these monies? Now that we have stopped what, in the past was said to have been taking our money, that's the subsidy payment. We have stopped it for more than 2 years. We shouldn't just be wallowing every time we are cap in hand from creditors, either abroad or here. And that is what Nigerians are saying. By the way, at the end of this week, the people of Anambra will be going to the polls to elect their leaders. And INEC, have their work cut out for them. The new chairman, Professor Joash Amokwita, said, we will do the best. And INEC, we have a new lease of life, and Nigerians are waiting to see what will come out of Anambra, by this weekend. We get to talk about that, before the end of the week. But right now, you deserve to be informed, about the happenings in your nation. And the newspaper segment has you covered. Once again, this is Morning Spring at Western Spring Television. Femi Ojo is my name. Stay with me. All right, so we kickstart the newspaper segment from the Nigerian Tribune for today. Nigerian Tribune. Court orders PDP Damagum to proceed with November 15 and 16 convention. There you go. Court orders PDP Damagum to proceed with November 15 and 16 convention. Page 4, I start with riders direct INEC to attend and monitor proceedings. Direct INEC to attend and monitor proceedings. A North Central meeting splits over resolution to back Damagum. Again, North Central meeting split over resolution to back Damagum. And another headline there screaming Trump's threat. China, EU, ECOWAS back Nigeria. Right. Trump's threat, China, EU, ECOWAS back Nigeria. With so many riders there, one after the other, we will emerge stronger. Federal government. Tinubu declares state of emergency on security institutions. We oppose using religion as excuse to interfere in other countries' internal affairs. China and Nigeria's violence driven by multiple factors. EU And no religious genocide in West Africa. ECOWAS, that's from ECOWAS. No religious genocide in West Africa. ECOWAS. And Nigerians would rather tell ECOWAS, are you in Nigeria? What are businesses? What is happening in West Africa? Primarily, we're talking about Nigeria here. And so, maybe ECOWAS needs one or two things to learn and support Nigeria's fight against insurgency. Abdul Salam tells US, all right, that is the topic on the front burner right now in Nigeria. And we started with that, in the past 2 days, we've talked about that. Possibly we get to talk about that today as well in the course of the program. And bottom strip, reps in rowdy session over Lagos Trade Fair probe. Reps in rowdy session over Lagos Trade Fair probe. All right, away from that, from the health angle, walking, swimming, cycling, best exercises to ease knee and arthritis pain. Scientists, okay, let me take that very slowly again. Walking, swimming, cycling, they are the best exercises to ease knee and arthritis pain. Scientists say walking, brisk walking, actually, because Nigerians will say, or people who will naturally trek long distances due to economic issues, does that count as well? Because talking about working, and there are some persons that will walk kilometers, just to save from fund because they can afford to transportation. So when you're walking from point A to maybe to point C, not even to point B now, from A, B, C, does that count for working as well? I'm talking about swimming. You have to really be very careful about that. You just don't go into the waters because you've heard that a report from scientists confirms that it's good for easing arthritis pain and knee pain, because you don't want to be involved in the stories that are really hard and all of those things, and cycling as well. But I think while other things might be true, one might need to just seek a medical counsel to tell you possibly which one is best for you, because somebody suffering from arthritis, it could be painful if you want to cycle, and if you don't have swimming skills, you just don't get into the waters, either running water, either rivers or lake around, or swimming pool. You need some level of guidance to do that. And how about working? These are the issues as well. Now, moving on, CBN to raise 650 billion naira in 1st November Treasury bill auction. Right, CBN to raise 650 billion naira in 1st November Treasury bill auction. All right, and police deploy 60,000 security personnel for Anambra election. Oh, wow. 60,000. That's the capacity of a football stadium. Right, yeah, of a football stadium. I think Wembley, it's something slightly above that. Old Trafford in England is around 76,000. So when you have a 60,000 capacity personnel, deployed for a state election, then I feel, okay, for whatever intention and purpose, nobody should really hear about voter intimidation or security lapses. 60,000 police personnel, just like I said, that is, more than the capacity of some stadiums. Actually, the Abuja Stadium is 60,000 capacity. So you can imagine, how such a humongous deployment of personnel. So in Anambra State, everywhere should be well covered. There should not be violence that will not be contained, because that is very huge. 60,000 security personnel for Anambra election. And when you talk about personnel, then you talk about the Nigeria Police and SCDC, and all of these things. All right, I think this is even talking about the police, because they said police deploy 60,000. So when you have 60,000 policemen, all right, to be held by the civil defense officers, Nigerian Army, immigration or whatever, then I think the results from that end should better be good. All right, court gives Nnamdi Kanu till today to defend tourism charges. Right, this has become, it's becoming quite embarrassing because Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the proscribed IPOB, that's Indigenous People of Biafra, has chosen to sack his lawyers, and he has been representing himself, and he has been told severally, enter defense for yourself, and he has failed to do that, and he has elicited the court. My lord has said, you have until November 5 to do the needful. If not, you know what's coming next. And the man is saying, Welenti is saying, there is no extant law, in Nigeria that should keep him, still within bounds, because as far as he's concerned, he has no case to answer. That is the position of Nnamdi Kanu. And the court is saying, better do the needful by today. Well, we'll wait to see what will happen in the course of the day today. And there is a picture in the middle. Take a look. That has to do, that's the picture of the President, Bola Tinubu, the Catholic Archbishop of Diocese of Abuja, Most Reverend Archbishop Ignatius Kigama, at the Presidential Villa Abuja on Tuesday. Away from the Nigerian Tribune, let's see the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper. Federal government, Nigeria will come out stronger from CPC label crisis. All right, right to that, China, EU, ECOWAS, to no religious coloration to countries' insecurity. Again, right to that, China, EU, ECOWAS, no religious coloration to countries' insecurity. This is from the front page of the Nation newspaper for today. The Nation newspaper. Right, Ibadan Court okays PDP's planned convention. Ibadan Court okays PDP's planned convention. With a rider, Damagun petitions INEC, IG over Anyau's suspension, invasion of Secretariat. Damagun petitions INEC, Inspector General over Anyau's suspension and invasion of Secretariat. All right, and you still see that picture of the Archbishop of Abuja Diocese, Archbishop Ignatius Kigama, extending an handshake or sharing an handshake with Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Bottom strip. Judge orders Kanu to file defense today or be deemed to have waived right. Judge orders Kanu to file defense today or be deemed to have waived rights. Page 3 of the Nation has that story. And moving on, Senate orders probe of Buhari administration's railway project. Senate orders probe of Buhari administration's railway project. I saw news yesterday, where it was said that the constant derailment of the coaches, the Nigerian, on the Nigerian rail, the train has really, getting some persons really worried to say what is happening. Is the problem with the train or the rail or the personnel? Where is the problem? Because this is not the way it's supposed to be. Almost every AK market day, you get to hear of derailment in Nigeria. And the Senate, has spoken on that. Top strip. For $10, Tinubu's 15% import tariff marks bold step towards $1 trillion economy. All right, or $10, Tinubu's 15% import tariff marks bold step towards $1 trillion economy. All right. And away from that, inside story, Abdulsalami urges unity amid external provocations. Nigeria's internal crisis misrepresented, says body judge. Nigeria's internal crisis misrepresented, says body judge. And Akpabio petitions police over force report. Akpabio petitions police over force report and foreign military intervention not necessary, says Ahamba. Foreign military intervention not necessary, says Ahamba. So the question is, what exactly is necessary? I'm sure to the people of Benue State and Plateau State, they'd rather be asking, so what is necessary? Actually, that they should keep on burying their loved ones, having babies, pregnant women, babies that are strapped to their mother's back, butchered, macheted in a terrible form, people being killed in droves, given mass burial. So the question is, what exactly is necessary? Now, the national ego has come to play in all of this, which is fine as a sovereign country to say we can handle our business. We should not be threatened. Nobody should be, threatening us with invasion and all of those things, fire and brimstone. But what exactly as the leaders, what exactly have they done in this case? Because somebody is quoted to be saying foreign military intervention not necessary. So the people of Benue, Yelwata, those people in the plateau, they should keep bearing because foreign interference or invasion or intervention is not necessary. Granted, but how about the leaders that on ground? That's the question. Can anybody look at those persons in Yelwata, in Benue State, in Plateau State, in part of Kaduna, even in Katsina, beyond the issue of persecution of Christians, allegations of persecutions of Christians? How about the people in Zamfara, Katsina State, where the people that are being killed in droves, the survivors have gone to make a plea to the people killing them to say, please, talk with us. What should we do? We don't want to be killed again. Where you have Nigerian police, Nigerian military, Nigerian Air Force, everything that has to do with the military architecture in the nation. And somebody is saying, by the way, that there is no reason, it's not necessary to have foreign intervention. Okay, foreign intervention, stay. How about domestic and national intervention? That is the question everybody must ask themselves. To those persons that have suffered loss across the country, either Christians or Muslims, so what intervention is necessary here? We learned former leader and military ruler, General Abdul Salami Abubakar, retired, has said, Nigeria, okay, let me take that again, talking about Nigeria's internal crises. Abdul Salami urges unity amid external provocations, to unite and keep quiet, to unite and, keep on tolerating killings, to unite. Exactly, unity against what? That's the question here. All right, so many questions are supposed to be asked, in which I'm not sure any leader with working blood and in his working vein can look at those people that have suffered loss in Katsina, in Plateau, in Benue, in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in part of Kebbi, and tell them, unite. Well, it is what it is. Away from that, let's see the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust is next, trusting in what they have to say about these issues. Misinformation behind UI's Nigerian tension. Expert. Allies declare support. Misinformation behind UI's Nigeria tension. Expert. Allies declare support. Right, and below that, you have the picture of the Chairman Board of Trustees, Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, Alhaji Bashir Dalhatu. He is the Waziri Dute, right, with the Chairman, National Executive Council, NEC, the same Arewa Consultative Forum, Mr. Mike Maman Usman, SAN, during a visit to the head office of the Media Trust Group in Utaku, Abuja yesterday. Below that, a woman kidnaps self to extort money from husband. Woman kidnaps self to extort money from husband. As they say, wonder shall never end. Kidnapping yourself, to extort money from the same husband that you are married to. All right. Now, the issue is, well, now that the attempt has been foiled, will it be treated as a domestic affair or as a family affair? Because the instruments of the state might have been mobilized, to help in this matter. So who pays for that? What is the position of the law on this when a woman, a wife, kidnaps herself, just to extort money from her husband? Make that make sense, actually. It's not new, but it's bizarre, actually. At least, to what end? To have money. All right. And DSS sacks over 100 officers. Why? DSS sacks over 100 officers. Nigerians would like to know why and who are they? Why are they being sacked? What security measure is being taken that these persons don't go rogue? Because these are trained individuals. If this report is true, these are the issues. And ACF, Mark Silver Jubilee, seeks support for development initiatives. ACF is the Arewa Consultative Forum, actually, and contractors protest at National Assembly over debt. Contractors protest, at the National Assembly over debt. And we learned the House of Reps, in fact, has gone on, close for shop, or close their shop, actually, in these protests as far as it is concerned, and they are saying the federal government should pay these contractors because, in fact, yesterday we learned they blocked the road to the National Assembly, those contractors that have been held, and they are saying bills are money, you can afford to imagine the kind of pain they are in actually as contractors for the government. All right, top strip, Tinubu seeks a NAS approval for 1.15 trillion naira loan. Nigerians will say again. All right, we get to look into that shortly. And Eurobond remains stable amidst Trump's threat. And court OK's PDP convention BOT meet today. So much for the PDP, and this will sound like a good news for them because last week a particular court in Abuja, banned them from going ahead with the convention. And just yesterday, a court in Ibadan has given them to go ahead, to continue with the preparation of the same convention. And the board of trustees of that party, they will be meeting today. All right, next is the Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard. Trump, why we reject the U.S. threat on Nigeria? China. Trump, why we reject the U.S. threat on China? All right, so much riders to that headline. U.S. lawmakers blast Trump, says threatening military action against Nigeria irresponsible and reckless. And religious extremists plotting to divide Nigeria. Federal government raises alarm, insists no genocide against Christians, and Senate to discuss Trump's comments with executive arm. A genocide claim divisive, dangerous for region's cohesion. ECOWAS. And budget deficit. Tinubu seeks fresh 1.15 trillion domestic loan as debt hit 152 trillion naira. And budget deficit again. Tinubu seeks fresh 1.15 trillion naira domestic loan as debt hit 152 trillion naira. Below that, Nigeria-US diplomatic crisis, blame APC's foreign policy. Benga Hashim. Cause for post-Tinubu national security and foreign policy architecture. And beside that, DSS dismisses 115 personnel. 115 personnel. Just like I said earlier, we must know what really happened and what measures being taken. You can't just dismiss people who have skills, intelligent officers for whatever reasons into the public just like that. Are there measures that are being taken? Because if they dare go rogue, that will not be good for any society. All right. And here, Obaseki Capet Okpebolo denies 600 billion naira debt. Others. Obaseki Capet Okpebolo denies 600 billion naira debt. Others. And troops kill Boko Haram terrorists during attack on military base in Borno. This is more like it. This is more like it. Actually, these are the things we want to see. Rooting them off our lands, these criminals. Troops killed Boko Haram terrorists during attack on military base in Borno. And top strip, top banks record 4.1 trillion naira profits in 9 months. Alleged terrorism, I have no case to answer, let me go. Kanu. Alleged terrorism, I have no case to answer, let me go. Kanu. And strike, we have met ASU's demands, federal government. We've met ASU's demands, federal government. And court clears PDP to hold national convention in Ibadan. Court clears PDP to hold national convention in Ibadan. With the rider party petitions IGP over alleged violent takeover of secretariat. Interesting one. The headline I took just before now, strike with met ASU's demands federal government. We'd like to hear from ASU as well if actually the demands have been met. You know, talking about the Academic Staff Union of Universities also. All right. And, you know, a bit of humor actually from Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. from the front page of the Vanguard for today. And there you go. My husband just transferred 300,000 naira with love. My husband just transferred 300,000 naira with love. That is from, okay, a woman. And the response to that says, oh, has he transferred any money to you without love? Oh, has he transferred any money to you without love? And the response, yes, anything below 150,000 naira. So if it is from the 300,000 or the 300,000 naira that the husband transferred is with love. But if it is anything below 150,000 naira, then it's without love. Interesting take here. All right. In fact, many persons want to say they'd rather take whatever they have been given as far as it is a sum of money without love. Who love help? That's what they would say as far as this contest is concerned. All right. And that will be the size of the headline segment. So many headlines, so many stories. Now that you have been served, let's talk. Stay with me.